Yeah, so I really do think the Seattle Seahawks have a dark horse MVP candidate, and want to talk about that. Also, want to encourage everybody to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So awesome, the support and how well this channel is going just a couple weeks in. Thank you all of you so much. Want to do that now. Couple things for you. A couple things for you as we look at this. There is an MVP candidate on the Seahawks roster, and I'm going to make the argument for it. But first, I'll let an article from Adam Shine, whatever his name is. I don't really care. He wasn't very nice to your quarterback competition a year ago. If you remember, he came out and said, "This is the most embarrassing, saddest, pathetic quarterback competition of all time between Drew Lock and Geno Smith." He said the Seahawks are a disaster and this is where hope goes to die. Uh, no, it doesn't. So I'm just like, what is going on? Yeah, I'm just, it's great because it wasn't. And it ended up being great. And the last time the Seahawks had a pathetic quarterback competition, it was with a, what was it, fourth round pick, Russell Wilson. And he won the job, and we're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then they go 7-9, make the playoffs in a very weak NFC in the West, right? And in that division that year was very weak. And then they go on to make the playoffs, and then they become a power for the next decade. Well, then they have another sad quarterback competition between Drew Lock and Geno Smith, and Geno Smith just goes out to have what is a comparable, wonderful Seattle Seahawks season at quarterback, just like the ones Russell Wilson started putting together. He won comeback player of the year. He threw for more than 4,000 yards. He had 30 touchdowns, and he had almost a 70% completion rate. That was the best in the league. All right. Now, what happens this year when you take the training wheels off? What happens this year when he has more talent around him? So let's take a dive into the numbers. Let's just do it. Let's take a dive into the numbers and look at what Geno is doing. And I'm going to make unique comparisons as well to this. Geno Smith last year, he did very well for himself. He had 572 attempts. He had almost 4,300 yards. That was seventh best in the league. So he had the eighth most attempts, but he had tied for the seventh most passing yards. He had the fourth most passing touchdowns in the league, and he had the 10th most interceptions. 11 interceptions. Like to see him cut down on that just a little bit. But those are those, I don't care, I'm trying to make a play throws that sometimes he does that you actually respect and you want your quarterback to do every once in a while. He had 35 design runs, but he also had 33 scrambles. Those 33 scrambles ended up at almost between 9 and 10 yards a pop. He kept the chains moving. He was a chain mover. No, he wasn't the guy who was going to go out there and run for 1,000 yards. I think he ran for like almost 400, something like that. All right. But he was the guy that kept the chains moving, and his legs were effective enough. He's in that middle tier. It's not like one of those guys where it's like, oh yeah, he has surprising speed. He's also not one of those guys that's just like, you need to game plan for this quarterback because he's going to have 5 design runs every game. No. In fact, he only had 35 design runs all year, but he is a quarterback that absolutely has the athletic ability and the speed to go and do those things. Okay. A couple of other things. His grades and the way he graded out and things that he did were eerily similar to what Russell Wilson was doing with the team. Very eerily similar. His run grade was significantly better than Russell's, and his passing grades were slightly worse than Russell Wilson. But here's the interesting thing. Obviously, Geno Smith blew Russell Wilson out of the water this year. But even in 2021, Russell Wilson was a passing grade of 70.7. Geno Smith is 76.1. I'm going to make the argument that Geno Smith is in year one here, just getting started. I don't expect these things to come cratering back down, to come crashing back down to earth. I expect him to get better. Why do I expect him to get better? Because he has new toys, right? He has new toys. He's got Charbonnet, that's going to be a backup running back. He still has Fant. He still has Lockett. He still has Metcalf. Another year of getting to know them better, and he now has Jackson Smith and Jigba. The dude has weapons. He has weapons. You had Witherspoon on the defensive end. You have a better defense. You can play this control game, and the record's going to be better. That helps MVP cases. All right. Do I think he's going to win MVP? No. Do I think it's a crazy stretch to say he's going to be a top 5 MVP in the MVP voting or top 10? Absolutely not. I don't think it at all. I think he's one of those guys that I would go out and draft early if I was doing a 1-year fantasy football draft. If I'm doing a dynasty draft, probably not, because he's already getting up there in age. But he's got another 3, 4, 5, 6 good years in him for sure. So if you're a Seahawks fan and you have Geno Smith, you're excited about 2 things. You're excited about how he's playing. You're excited about 3 things. You're excited about how he's playing. You're excited about the cap number that he has that's being displayed for him. All right. And furthermore than that, you're just excited about the fact that this is an offense that quarterbacks seem to be able to thrive. They have found a way, and they have found a system that quarterbacks do well. And by the way, Geno Smith did this with a poor offensive line. I don't expect that offensive line to get worse. I expect it to get better. Why wouldn't it? So let's break down a couple of those 3 things. Geno Smith has a 3-year contract right now that this year the cap hit is $10 million. Not bad. Not bad. Next year, 31, and the year after that, almost 34. These are not insurmountable cap hits. I know when we hear numbers that are that high in the millions, our natural thought process should be like, that is so much money. No, it's not. It's not. That is a good deal. And he's 32 years old. I understand that. He's going to be 35 when this contract is over. Great. Great. Quarterbacks played much longer than that. You can't tell me Geno's in the twilight of his career. He's right in the middle of it. The age for good quarterbacks, that prime age, is the early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. No problem. And he can continue playing because he does not have a lot of wear and tear on that body. So, hey, hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed, go for it. This isn't our first go round. This is a channel that we do because we love to pay attention to the teams that, quite frankly, don't get as much love. Don't get that national social media attention, or just media attention, not necessarily social media. So we wanted to throw some love to those teams. Seahawks are one of them. You are going places. You have a good quarterback. Feel confident about what you have, Hawks fans. We'll see you on the next one.